I'm going to have to get you to stand back by Mr. Cocker so the rest of the jury can see that. All right. Point out where the pager was found.
This would be the pager right here.
For the record, the witness is pointed to 47A.
The court reporter cannot hear the witness testify at this point because he's turned away.
Keep your voice up, sir.
Pardon?
Keep your voice up. All right. The witness is pointed to photograph 47A. Can you point that out one more time, sir?
This would be the pager.
All right. And do you recall seeing keys in that area
No, I don't.
at that time? And did you approach from behind this gate here?
Yes, I did.
And was that on the other side of the gate? I'm showing 47A.
That would be in the neighbor's yard.
So you were not inside the gate near Mr. Goldman?
No.
Go ahead and take your seat, sir. What did you do in that location while you were on the outside of that gate?
I approached Mr. Goldman. When I was on the other side, I noticed that one of his eyes was open. So I approached him. I shined my light to see if there was any movement in his pupil. There was none. It remained fixed and dilated. And I touched his eyeball with my finger to get any involuntary reaction, such as twitching of the eyelid, movement of the head. And it just basically verified that he was dead,
And you found what?
that he was dead.
So now that photograph in 47A, is that how you found him in that position?
Yes.
And what did you do next?
I went back out to the street, and a backup unit had arrived. I met with them.
Now, during that entire time, sir, did you step in any blood in the walkway or around the victims
No, I didn't.
or up on the stairs or the pathway leading to the front door?
No, I didn't.
Did you touch any of the evidence?
No.
And why is that?
Because I was trying to preserve the integrity of the crime scene.
Is that something you're trained to do, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Standard training?
Yes.
At that point...
Clark, I think we need to take a court reporter recess.
Sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief 15-minute recess. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Form any opinions about the case. Don't let anybody talk to you about the case. Don't discuss anything about the case amongst yourselves. And we'll see you back here in 15 minutes. I ask you to step back into the jury room, please. All right, Officer Riske, you can... The jury? No?
No, I do, Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Carrigan, all right.
There is one particular chart that I just wanted to call the court's attention. That I have one question regarding.
Mr. Cochran, it's up behind the carriage.
Listen, Your Honor, I object to the use of the word trail. I think that that's inclusionary. I have no problem with blood drops, blood whatever, but I think the trail, there's no real issue about that. I think that's argumentative, and I think it's an inclusionary form. And I don't object to the photographs which I've seen, but the label takes a little administrative basis. I'm telling you, Your Honor, that there will be a lot of evidence in regard to whether or not it's an actual trail.
Ms. Clark?
Yes, Your Honor. This was shown to Mr. Cochran yesterday, and there was no objection lodged. Secondly, it is a matter of what was observed and what will be testified to by the witnesses, that the blood trailed, and in fact did trail. There was a tailing effect to the blood that showed that it trailed in a westerly direction. And so it's simply descriptive of what the testimony will be. That's what a board is. That's why we have photographs. Counsel can argue it's not, but we have a series of blood drops to the left of a series of bloody shoe prints. It's a trail of blood.
That's her conclusion. I'm indicating because there will be testimony that is not a trail. All we're talking about is
Well, what
evidence.
is it?
I'm talking about the label of this evidence. And I just think it's inappropriate to call it blood trail. And so I'm asking the court. And when I saw this last night, we weren't on the record or whatever, so now's the time. She hasn't put it out now. Now's the time. I'm just saying we should, if she wants to call it blood and funding, I have no objection. I object to the use of the word trail.
Right, I think that's a matter for counsel to argue, you know, but this is the people's evidence, this is the way the witnesses characterize what they saw, and so it's simply descriptive. It's what the testimony is going to elicit, that's why we have these boards.
That's exactly the point. It's a matter for both counsel to argue, not be argumentative on this document.
Well, counsel can put up his own board and say blood drops, and it's not a trail.
I don't-
Our witnesses
Right.
found it to be a trail, and that's what the testimony will show, and that's why we have boards.
Thank you.
I don't want to do that, but I think the evidence will be that this is 160 feet up that way, and they find 4 drops of blood. That,
Five.
and 5 drops of blood. That does not make a trail among most reasonable experts. And the question is, I don't want to argue that, at this point, I want to argue at the end of the case. It's argumentative. That's what I'm saying.
All right, objections noted, it's over with. Thank you. All right, let's have the jurors, please. Deputy McNair. Ms. Robertson. All right, let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel, that Officer Robert Riske is on the stand. Officer Riske, you're reminded you're still under oath. Ms. Clark, you may continue your direct examination.
I believe when we left off, sir, you indicated that you contacted your supervisor.
That's correct.
And who was that?
Called Sergeant Rossi on the phone.
And after you called Sergeant Rossi, what did you do next?
We exited the residence, went down, I checked Mr. Goldman, and then I was leaving from there, and an additional unit showed up.
All right. So after you looked, you went around the neighbor's side of the fence, looked in at Mr. Goldman, then you backed out again and did what?
Additional unit showed up, and I started telling them what we had.
An additional unit meaning other police officers?
That's correct.
In a black and white unit?
Yes.
And was that based on the call you put out?
Yes.
You explained to them what you found?
I started to explain to them, and then Sergeant Marty Kuhn showed up, and I just told everybody at once.
Now, when your sergeant came to the scene, where was everybody during this time?
We're on the east side of the street by my police vehicle.
You were out on Bundy?
That's
in front
correct.
of the location?
That's correct.
You were not on the sidewalk or on the walkway?
No, we're on the east side of the street by 874.
And while you were standing in that location in the street, what were you talking about?
I advised them we had a double homicide and what evidence we had that was visible from what we had seen. And my partner was sent to the rear to secure the rear. One of the officers started setting up crime scene tape, and Detective Wally and Officer Wally and I were directed to search the house.
Now, when you say crime scene tape, I'm showing you again the photograph that's been marked today as People's 46. You see that yellow tape in the foreground?
Yes.
Is that crime scene tape as you described it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And who put that up?
I believe Officer Ed McGowan.
And what was the purpose of that crime scene tape?
To keep people from walking through the area, through the crime scene.
Can you tell us where it extended to?
The tape in the front went from the neighbor to the north to the neighbor to the south, encompassed the whole 3 houses.
And to the rear of the area, was that secured also?
Yes.
And how far was that crime
was,
scene extended in the rear?
The neighbor to the north of the rear of her residence to the foot of the alley, which would be Dorothy.
Showing you now a photograph that was previously marked as people's .39. You recognize what's shown there, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
That's the rear alley of the Bundy address.
And you see the tape you referred to earlier and identified as crime scene tape?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that shown in this photograph also?
Yes.
What's shown in the foreground there, is that crime scene tape?
Yes.
Is that the end of the alley?
That's the south end of the alley on Dorothy.
You see the police car in the back, towards the rear of that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And can you see where the crime scene tape is in relation to that car?
Yes.
Is the car inside or outside the tape?
It's outside.
Outside the tape?
Yes.
And again, that tape in the rear is to prevent people from walking through?
That's correct.
And who set up the rear crime scene tape, if you know?
I really don't know.
Was all of that tape, however, set up right after you called your supervisor?
It was set up while Officer Wally and I searched the house.
And this photograph, for the record, Your Honor, that's on the screen now, is People's 38. All right, then let's back up for a second, sir. After the sergeant got to the scene, now at that point, everybody's standing outside in the street in front
Right.
on Bundy?
Right.
No one's walking up around the walkway or around the
No.
victims? And were you given some order at that point?
Yes.
And what was that?
To search the house.
For what purpose?
I look for additional victims, suspect, any evidence that might be in the house.
And the other officers, what did they do?
Officer McGowan put up the crime scene tape. Sergeant Kuhn made sure nobody walked through the crime scene. And my partner, Officer Terrazas, went to the back, secured the rear location.
Okay, that Sergeant Kuhn, is he in relation to another one?
No, not that I know of.
And so what did you do at that point?
Officer Wally and I approached the residence through the grass, went up the path, up the steps, and into the house.
And when you say that you did that, did you walk through the bushes again?
Yes.
Not on that walkway that had the blood on it?
No, we used the same route I used before.
And you avoided stepping in the blood?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the officer that went with you do the same?
Yes.
And you went inside the house?
Yes, I did.
Once again, sir, when you went into the house, did you notice any bloody shoe prints?
No, I didn't.
Or ransacking?
No.
Or evidence of a struggle?
No.
Or forced entry?
No.
What did you do inside the house?
We first searched the ground level of the residence from the extreme east side all the way to the rear, which would be the west. And there was some stairs that lead down the garage. We went down the stairs. We saw a cup of ice cream sitting on a banister of the stairway.
Was that inside the house, sir?
It's inside the house, right by the garage.
Okay, is there a door that leads from the house, inside the house, to the garage?
Yes.
And are there stairs that lead to that door?
Yes.
And the ice cream, was that at the top or the bottom of those stairs?
It's at the bottom of the stairs on a banister.
But inside the house?
Yes.
And what did you see, other than that?
We opened the door, searched the garage. There was nothing in there. And we went back upstairs, went to the second level of the house. We observed 2 children sleeping in their beds, and there was no other evidence in the house.
Did you look in the master bedroom?
Yes.
What, was the master bedroom lit?
I believe it had a table lamp on, yes.
Was there a television in the room?
Yes, it was.
Was it on?
Yes.
And the bed, what was the condition of the bed?
The covers were just piled in the middle of the bed.
Covers were rumpled?
Yes.
Were there any other lights on upstairs?
I believe there was a light in the main hallway, and the workout room, I think, was lighted.
Okay, there's a workout room?
Just east of the master bedroom, there's like a balcony that overlooks the living room, and there's some workout equipment in there.
And was that lit?
I believe the light was on in there, yes.
And the bathroom? In what condition was the bathroom near the master bedroom?
The lights were off, but there were candles lit. The tub was full of water. That's
Like-
about it.
Like someone was getting ready to take a bath?
Yes, ma'am.
And the children, were they asleep in their rooms?
Yes.
One child in each room?
Yes.
So were their rooms dark?
Yes, they were.
Did you notice any evidence of blood drops
No, I didn't.
anywhere upstairs?
No.
Any evidence of a struggle?
No.
Any evidence of ransacking?
No.
Drawers pulled out?
No.
Closets opened?
No.
Clothing thrown around?
No.
Jewelry thrown around?
No.
Anything look out of place up there?
Not that I could see, no.
What did you do next?
I went down to the front landing, advised my supervisor that we had 2 children in the house and we had to take them out the back.
So you went back downstairs to the front door area?
That's correct.
The door is still standing open as you found it?
Yes.
And were there any candles lit anywhere else in the house?
Not that I recall.
Did you write a report in this matter, sir?
A brief statement.
Very brief.
Yeah, very brief statement.
Do you happen to recall at this time the condition of the ice cream that you saw in the cup just inside the door in the house? On the banister, excuse me?
It appeared to be melted.
So when you went out on the landing, who was it you made contact with?
Sergeant Kuhn?
And you told him about the children inside?
That's correct.
And what did you tell him to do about them?
I just told him we had 2 children in the house and we were going to take them out the back.
Then what did you do?
I walked the walkway that leads to the rear gate. I met with my partner and told him we had 2 kids. We were going to open the garage door and bring them out.
All right. Now, was that the first time you took that walkway towards the rear area of the condominium back
Yes.
to where the rear driveway is?
Yes, it was.
Well, I have here another series of photographs. I'd ask you mark as people's 48? Yes? 40?
All right, People's 48.
Sir, I'm going to, if I might have Mr. Escobar hold this.
Yes.
In the center of the jury. Also, if you'd like to step down, take the pointer with you. Maybe for the picture. All right, now this is the first time you've walked this path that goes towards, from the front door to the rear of the location. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you see anything unusual on that walkway as you proceeded down it?
I continued to see what appeared to be bloody shoe prints and drops of blood.
Now, were you using your flashlight?
Yes, I was.
Is it dark in that location?
Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Clark, can we have Mr. Riske keep his voice up?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Talk louder. How did you avoid stepping on those bloody shoe prints or on those blood drops?
I used my flashlight to illuminate the walkway and stayed against the wall leading back to the back.
So before you stepped, you were able to see where you were stepping with your flashlight?
That's correct.
And you avoided those
Ask and
bloody...
answer, Your Honor.
You avoided those bloody areas.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us if you can, are you able to see these, sir?
Yes.
Showing you the photograph that will be labeled as A, 48A. Do you see these markers here?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and do you see those markers closer up in B and C?
Yes, I do.
What are those?
Those are evidence tags.
And the drops that appear next to them?
They appear to be drops of blood.
As you saw them that night, sir?
Yes.
And in C and D?
There are also evidence tags and drops of blood.
So D is a blow-up of the drops shown in perspective on the stairs in D?
Yes.
And in F and G?
This is the rear walkway going to the driveway. There's an evidence tag on that also.
And G, is that a close-up of the evidence tag shown in F?
Yes, it is.
Now, that gate that's shown in F, is that the rear gate that actually opens onto the rear driveway in the back alley?
Yes, it is.
And H down here, can you tell us what location is shown there?
That's the rear driveway.
Everybody see? You see the evidence tags shown in H?
Yes, I can.
All right, and can you see the close-up of those tags in I and in K?
Yes.
Now, when you went out towards the, out through the rear gate, were you able to see any other blood drops?
I met with my partner at the rear gate, and he...
Distracted, non-responsive.
Yes, I did.
And how did you happen to see those?
My partner directed my attention to him.
And how did he do that?
He just told me he saw blood on the gate and on the driveway, and he showed me where they were with his flashlight.
Shone his light on them?
That's correct.
Was he staying away from them?
Yes.
And when he told you that, was that so you'd stay away from them too?
Object that calls.
Sustained.
Speculation.
Sustained.
My partner told me.
Sustained.
When he told you that, what, did you stay away from those blood drops?
Yes, I did.
And are these, can you tell us whether the blood drops shown in I are the blood drops in the rear driveway that were pointed out to you by your partner with his flashlight?
Yes, they are.
Did your partner point out any other item of evidence near that blood drop in the rear driveway?
There was a change by the Jeep.
And when you say change, you see that depicted in one of these photographs?
Yes, I did.
Is that in K at the very end?
Yes.
And now the two evidence markers that you see in J, or better actually over here, in H, do those show the relative locations of the blood drop and the change?
Yes, I do.
And is that as you found it on that night, sir?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Now, the blood drops that you saw going down the walkway, where in relation to the bloody shoe prints that you've described did you see them?
I believe they were to the left of the shoe prints.
And at the rear gate that you pointed out to us that's now shown in the photograph F, did you notice anything unusual on that rear gate?
There was blood at various locations on the gate, or what appeared to be blood.
And did your partner point out any other blood with respect to that rear gate?
He pointed out blood on the outside of the gate, on the back.
And were you able to see that?
Yes, I was. All of them.
When you got to the rear gate, when you walked out that walkway for the first time towards the rear in a westerly direction, When you got to the rear gate, was it locked?
No, it wasn't.
Tell us what condition it was in.
I don't know if it was broken or the latch was stuck open. I just pushed on the gate with my flashlight and it opened.
You pushed it with your flashlight,
That's correct.
and it opened by itself.
Yes.
You didn't touch it with your hands.
No, I didn't.
Now, you mentioned something about a Jeep.
Yes.
When you got out to the rear of the location, to the rear driveway, you mentioned you saw the drops of blood and the change. You also mentioned that you saw a Jeep?
Right.
Did you see that Jeep in the photograph that has been marked as 37?
Your exhibit, Ms. Clark.
I know. 39.
Yes, I can.
Is that the Jeep as you found it that day, that night?
Yes.
Now, at the time that you found the Jeep, sir, was the garage door open or closed?
It was closed.
When you went out the rear gate for the first time, did you notice anything unusual about that Jeep?
I didn't really examine the Jeep the first time.
Did you come back to it at some later point?
Yes, I did.
When was that?
After the children were out of the house,
After you exited the rear gate, you saw your partner pointed out the blood, you saw the blood on the gate, etc. What did you do next?
Overruled.
What did you do next?
I told him we were going to open the rear garage door, and I asked him if there was anything, if we opened the door, if it would disturb any evidence, and he said no.
And did you then open the rear garage door?
I went back in the house and woke up the children, got them dressed, and the girl opened the garage door for us.
Now, when you say you went back into the house, what route did you take?
The walkway, back to the front door, and then in through the front door.
And again, as you walked down that walkway, were you using your flashlight?
Yes, I was.
Did you step in the bloody shoe prints?
No, I didn't.
Or the blood drops?
No.
And you went back into the house?
Yes, I did.
Got the children dressed?
Yes.
And when you took them out, what direction, what route did you take?
Went down the stairs, through the garage, went through the inside of the garage, had a girl open the garage door, and then we went past the Ferrari and out on the driveway.
So they went out through the back.
Yes.
And was a police unit there?
There was a unit at the end of the alley on Dorothy.
And you took them out to that unit?
Yes.
They were then taken, what, to the West LA
To West
station?
LA.
At that point, did anyone know who their parents were or where they could be found?
We knew their father was O.J. Simpson, but I didn't ask her where he was.
Had that been verified for a fact at that point? That their father was Mr. Simpson?
No, not until I asked her.
You asked the little girl?
Yes, I did.
Sydney?
Yes.
And she told you?
Yes.
After the children were taken from the scene, what did you do next?
I went back to the driveway and I talked to my partner, and I saw the Jeep again. He showed me the Jeep.
And what about that Jeep was unusual?
The front passenger door was slightly ajar.
And is that the Jeep that's shown in People's 39?
Yes.
The passenger door in front. Is that a four-door vehicle? Or a two-door, if you know?
I think it's a 4, but I'm not sure. I don't recall.
But it was on the passenger side?
Right.
Was it standing open?
No, it was closed, but it wasn't closed all the way.
Was the interior light on?
I really don't recall.
After you noticed that the passenger door was cracked on the Jeep, what happened next?
We just made sure that my partner and Sergeant Rossi, when he showed up, we showed it to him, made sure everybody stayed away from it.
Stayed away from the Jeep?
Right.
Why?
Because we didn't want anybody to touch the car, get fingerprints on it, disturb any evidence.
And what did you do after that?
I went out to the front, and I verified that the crime scene was set up. And I talked to Sergeant Kuhn, told him we had the children out of the house. And I came back to the rear, and I walked the alley from Dorothy to Gorham, looking in trash cans, looking for any evidence.
Now, was there someone guarding the front of the location and the rear of the location?
Yes.
Who was that?
Sergeant Kuhn was in the front, and I believe he had Officer Sanchez with him. Another unit had arrived. And in the rear was my partner, Officer Terrazas.
And when I say guarding the location in the front and the rear, can you tell us what's the purpose of that?
You post somebody at the crime scene tape to make sure nobody crosses the tape, disturbs any evidence.
To keep people out.
Right.
And did they do that?
Yes, I did.
So you searched the alley then from Dorothy and Bundy up to Gorham?
Dorothy, the rear alley and Dorothy up to Gorham.
So for one block behind the house.
Right.
And what did you find?
Nothing.
Was there, did anybody take any steps to block off traffic?
We had Bundy from Dorothy to Gorham close the vehicles.
So traffic was blocked off in front of the location on Bundy?
That's correct.
Thank you. Did you notice any bloody shoe prints or blood drops in the alley?
Oh, I didn't.
Were you looking for them
Yes.
with your flashlight?
Yes.
Now, at some point, sir, did you go to the location of 874 South Bundy where your initial call came from?
Yes, I did.
Was that after you looked through the alley for evidence?
I believe it was before. Right.
Before?
I went back to the front, made sure the crime scene was secure, and I believe another officer and I went to 874.
So before going back to the alley, and was it after the children were taken out?
It was after the children.
After you took the children out, did you go over to 874 South Bundy?
Yes, I did.
And why was that?
I spoke with a female white, the original PR of the call, the one that called in the burglar.
The original call that you responded to of a burglary at 874?
That's correct.
And can you describe the woman you spoke to?
It's an elderly female white. I believe she had white hair.
And did you talk to her about her call?
Yes, I
to you?
did.
Did she discuss with you hearing the doorbell ringing and somebody knocking on her door?
Yes.
Overall, I think it just explains subsequent action.
As a result of what she told you, what did you do?
My partner and I, or the officer that was with me and I, got a key from her for the rear gate, and we searched her yard for her just to make sure nothing was wrong.
Did she have a dog in the backyard there?
Yes, she did.
Did you ask her to take that dog in?
Yes.
And she did that?
Yes.
Then you searched around her house?
That's correct.
Find any problems?
No.
Any evidence of recently trampled shrubbery or?
No.
Overall,
See any screens removed from the windows?
No, we didn't.
Any evidence of some recent jimmying of any locks or anything?
No.
Did you report back to her?
Yes, we took her the key to the gate, and we told her it looked clear, and it didn't look like anybody had been back there.
And did you tell her not to go outside?
Yes.
Why's that?
I told her we had a crime across the street and just to stay in the house.
Now, after you made contact with her, what did you do next?
Then I went to the rear and searched the alley. The rear of 875 Bundy and searched the alley.
That's when you searched the alley?
Yes.
What'd you do after that?
I came back to the front, and I noticed that Sergeant Rossi, the West LA Watch Commander, was there, and Sergeant Kuhn was talking to him. I approached them, discussed what we had, and Sergeant Rossi, Sergeant Kuhn, and I crossed the tape, went up on the grass, and looked at the crime scene.
Now, what was the purpose of doing that?
He's my supervisor. I have to tell him what we have.
Okay. And so when you escorted him up to closer to where the victims were, again, you walked on the bushes and on the grass?
Walked on the grass, not in the bushes this time.
Okay. Not on that pathway?
Right.
And did you point out the evidence that you had found with your flashlight?
Yes.
And who was it that was with you at that time?
Sergeant Dave Rossi and Sergeant Marty Kuhn.
Now, did you take them stepping up over the body of Nicole and down the pathway?
No, I didn't.
What did you do?
We went, after I showed them the initial crime scene, we went down to Dorothy, went around to the rear. I showed them the Jeep, the change on the ground, the blood on the driveway. I took Sergeant Rossi to the gate, showed him the blood on the gate, and we went approximately halfway down the walkway. I showed him the bloody footprints.
Moment else. Corner of Dorothy and Bundy, I'd ask that it be marked Peoples 49.
49.